Hello, David Starr here for another Mastering the Marketplace video. Now, when creating your virtual machine offers in Partner Center, there are some information sections you must fill out to complete the offer information. This video will explore those sections that are specific to VM offers within Partner Center. For information on filling out the information that's common to each offer type, you can find that video in the Partner Center course on our website. Let's take a look at what we'll cover. In this video, we'll discuss the sections in Partner Center that are unique for virtual machine offers. The sections we'll be covering are all here on the screen, and rather than enumerate them here, know that for each section listed, we'll have a demo on how to use it. So let's get started with the demos. Now, offer setup is all about the basic information for your solution. Here we'll set up several things to configure your solution's integration to Marketplace. I'll start here from the main dashboard of Partner Center, and we're going to go into the Marketplace offers. Here we can see that we don't yet have a VM offer, so the first step is we're going to create one. I'm going to come down to Azure Virtual Machine, and I'll give it a quick ID, and I'll just call it DSVM02. We'll give it a name of DSVM02. Let's create this, and now we have a new offer. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is where we've been placed by default, which is on the offer setup page. In here, we can see the alias. Now this alias is what we just gave as the name of our offer, but keep in mind that this is what it's known as inside Partner Center. You can actually give it a different name in a different section of Partner Center that will show up as the name that you see as the offer in Marketplace. Now let's take a look quickly at Test Drive. You can enable a test drive which enables customers to try your product for a limited period of time. Now, there are some things to keep in mind about test drives. One is that setting up your VM offer for a test drive requires some fairly significant additional work on your offer, and when a test drive period ends, the resources deployed are destroyed, so customers should not try to save any information in their test drive instance. You can learn more about test drives by following the link right here inside Partner Center. Next, let's have a look at customer leads. Customer leads are essentially the ability for Marketplace to report back to your CRM or customer relationship management system anytime someone accesses your offer within the Marketplace. So let's look at how you can connect to your CRM. First, note that this is not required. You can select none as the lead destination. Just leave this alone in effect, and you won't have any leads reported to you. Alternatively, you can select Azure Table. Now, Azure Table asks for a storage connection string, which we would have should we go create a data store inside Azure that has Azure Table accessibility. The next thing you might consider is an HTTPS endpoint. This is where you can expose a simple endpoint on the internet that gets called anytime a lead is generated, and you put in the URL to that endpoint here. The remaining integrations are for specific systems like Dynamics 365 for customer engagement, Marketo, and Salesforce. Now, I'll just take a quick look at Salesforce. Note that if I choose Salesforce, it's simply asking for my organization ID, at which point these leads will start being forwarded to your Salesforce instance. So I'll cancel out of this, and we won't actually do anything with regard to lead management in our demo here. So I'll just save draft, and we'll move on to our next section. Our next section is properties. And this is where we configure some things about our offer that will influence how our offer shows up in Marketplace. Let's jump down to the Properties tab, and you can see the first thing we're going to be looking at is categories. So we need to select at least one category here. Next, let's take a look at how we set up our terms and conditions for our offer. Note the first thing I get to choose is, would I just like to use the standard contract that Microsoft uses with customers? If I would like to do so, I can accept and confirm that offer. And even though I've selected the standard contract, I can put an amendment in place that will augment what is in that standard contract. Alternatively, I can choose not to use the standard contract, put in my terms and conditions uniquely. I can also, instead of providing the terms and conditions here, use a link. So I can link to any sort of open and publicly available terms and conditions document. This enables me to have a standard terms and conditions out there on my website that just gets pointed at by the offer in Marketplace. For our purposes though, I'm going to simply select the standard Microsoft terms and conditions, and note that in addition to this standard amendment, I can add custom amendments that I can tie specifically to certain customers. So if I want to apply a custom amendment to the standard contract, I can do so here, and I can target specific customers by providing their tenant IDs here, and I can have up to 10 tenant IDs that would then target my specific customers. I'm not going to do that here. We'll let the custom amendment go. I'll hit Save Draft. Next, let's jump into Preview Audience. Now, Preview Audience is really all about the ability for someone to see and exercise the testing of your offer before it goes live. So let's jump down to our Preview Audience tab. Very simple interface here that simply asks us to put in the subscription ID, the Azure subscription ID, of whomever we would like to access the offer when it's in the test phase, when it's in the preview phase. And we can put a description of what subscription we are entering here. But remember, from the overview page, I'm going to leave Preview Audience for a moment. In the overview page, we go through the steps of automated validation, certification, and preview creation, and finally, publisher sign-off and publish. But within publisher sign-off, we're actually going to be able to see links that will appear here, and those will be links for our testing purposes. And the people who may do the testing are those that we've indicated in our preview audience. So next, we're going to jump down to Plan Overview. Plan Overview is the section in which you create the plans that represent your different versions of your solution. Consider a model where you have silver, gold, and platinum versions of your product, something like this. And you'll want a plan for each version, and those plans will likely have different descriptions and price points. Let's jump into Plan Overview. I can create more than one plan here, as I mentioned silver, gold, platinum as a model. Well, I'll create a new plan, and I'll give it the ID of, let's just say, silver plan. I'm just going to go by the example that I've been using here, and I'll call it silver. I'll create that plan, and it asks me, first of all, within Plan Setup, if I would like to sell within the Azure Global or Azure Government, or I should say, and Azure Government clouds. I'm going to accept Azure Global. This is the main Azure Marketplace. And because we've made no changes to this page, move on to Plan listing. Now here under plan listing is where we're putting the information in that will be shown on the offer, on the plan, so that people can make the decision about what they would like to purchase, which plan they would like to purchase. So I'm just going to put a little, let's see, a little lorem ipsum text in there. And then we've got our plan description. Plan description, however, is a more verbose description that you would like to see on your plan. So with this, I'll hit Save Draft. And we'll move down to pricing and availability, which gives us first the option to select which markets we would like to sell within. So I'm going to select Edit Markets, and I'm going to unselect all, and we're going to just look at selling within the United States for the purpose of my demo. But notice that we're using one of 142 potential markets that we might sell within. Now we get down to pricing our virtual machine. Pricing is based on usage. So how much is someone using your virtual machine? And the options here include usage-based pricing and bring your own license. Now, should I choose bring your own license, unfortunately, this means that your offer would not be considered a transactable offer within the Azure Marketplace, this plan, I should say. That means that purchasing this plan doesn't bring you the benefits of things like co-sell and MAC decrement, which are go-to-market benefits for your transactable offers and plans. So we're going to select usage-based monthly billed plan. Now with that usage-based, we get several options on how we would like to price. So we could say, you know, this is just a free virtual machine, and we're going to publish it as such. Alternatively, we can choose a flat rate. Your VM plan is the same regardless of the hardware that it runs on. And maybe we want to charge, let's say, $1 an hour for that. Obviously, it would be significantly greater to license your software. But we can also choose to select things like per virtual CPU, CPU size, and per market with CPU size. So that's an interesting one if you're selling across multiple markets with variable CPU sizes. Okay, and we're just going to go with per virtual CPU. And with that, I'll put in that $1 an hour we discussed. And next we'll look at annual and 3-year reserve pricing. Now what does this mean? Now annual and reserve pricing is for your customers who would like to make a commitment of an annual or a 3-year reservation for your offer. That is to say, we want to allow a customer to come along and give us a 1-year or 3-year commitment. And if I do want to offer that, I can put in perhaps a 10% savings if they do a 1-year commitment. And for 3-year, I might put in a 15% savings. All right. For our purposes, I'm going to clear those out, and we'll jump down here to free trial. Now, I can provide a free trial to my customers, no trial, 1 month, 3 or 6 month trials. Now, if I choose a 1 month trial, as I mentioned before, we're going to have some additional work to do, and I'm going to leave this for now set at no trial, which is where the large majority of our partners choose. Now, plan visibility can be public or private. Public visibility means that simply anyone on the Azure Marketplace website browsing that website can see your offer. Alternatively, you can make this plan private. And if you choose to do that, you can put in an Azure subscription ID that will come from your customer. And you can add several IDs that you would like to support for them purchasing your offer, perhaps at a discounted price. So maybe you've got your public offers offered at $10 per virtual CPU hour, and with your private offer, you're going to offer a discount of some lower amount. So you would price this plan differently and put their subscription in here. You need to ask for the tenant ID of your customer to put here. So we need their tenant ID and their subscription ID in order to make that private offer available to them. I'm going to stick with a public offer for the purposes of this demo. Now, the last thing I can do with a virtual machine plan is I can hide it from the marketplace. Now, this is interesting in that the way to then deploy this virtual machine plan is through a managed application or solution template. So I'm able to go construct a different type of offer called the managed application, for example, and it can reference back to this hidden plan that I've created and deploy that as part of a larger solution. Usually with virtual machine offers, these plans are not hidden. I'll go ahead and select Save Draft, and we'll move over to our Technical Configuration tab. Now, our Technical Configuration tab is a bit involved, and I'm simply going to summarize it because you're going to want to bring your technical team in, your development staff, to configure this technical configuration, and you do so per plan. And so the way it works is that you put a virtual machine inside of a registry of virtual machines, and you're able to select the VM images that you want to make available with this VM offer. We then select which operating system our VMs are going to support, which ones they are developed on, and then you can select which type of base image you're using. I can go to Linux and select, say, Ubuntu. Now, I can also select what VM sizes are going to be both recommended and made available for running this VM. And finally, I can select which ports I would like to enable for the VM. Next, I get a set of properties, and these are just simply properties of our virtual machine. So for example, does the VM support backup within the customer's tenant after deployment? If the answer is yes to that, then let's go ahead and check it. And you can go through these different options that describe your virtual machine. Finally, we get to the security type. This is only applicable for Gen 2 images. And for here, I suggest that instead of just taking a moment to describe it, you do go out and check out the information that's linked to here about trusted launch and confidential VMs to best understand what situation is going to be most applicable for you. Now again, for technical configuration, I strongly recommend bringing your technical team in, and this will, for the most part, make sense to them, although there is really good documentation for filling this out within the Microsoft Learn docs. We walked through all of these sections required when setting up a VM offer in Partner Center. We looked at offer setup, properties, preview audience, and finally we looked at the plan overview where we create one or more plans that are available within our base product. I hope this video helps you when creating new VM offers for the Azure Marketplace. Thank you for joining us for another video from Mastering the Marketplace, the learning library where technologists go to get their offer on the Microsoft Marketplace. For more videos, hands-on labs, and sample code, find us at aka.ms/masteringthemarketplace.